Welcome to the Justice Room. Your life, your rights, your options. Experience and learn from discussions with legal professionals and other experts about the law, its challenges, and how it could affect you. Here at the Justice Room. Welcome to the Justice Room. Welcome to the Justice Room. This is Jay Jacome, the host of the Justice Room. Today we've brought in Mr. William Moore to talk about a pretty simple topic. If you've been arrested, shut up. I can't tell people enough. Just shut up. So we've brought attorney William Moore on the show. Thanks for coming on the show, Mr. Moore.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jay.
You know, something that I've been dealing with recently, and I'm dealing with it now in another criminal case, and that's that you can't get these clients to just shut up. I mean, I don't know how to, you tell everybody, well, invoke your right to an attorney, and then don't say nothing. Well, I guess they're obviously not listening to the word don't say anything. So I'll just put it real clear. Shut up. Don't say nothing. And what I mean by that is, hell, don't just go back and talk to, you talk to your lawyer. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, and I agree with you completely, and sometimes you have to be very blunt when you tell people this because basically you do not want to hurt yourself. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've dealt with this over the past 12 years where the state doesn't have a very strong case, but somebody makes an admission, a statement against their interest, whatever you want to call it. And that all you're simply doing is you're helping the government or the state to plug the holes in their case.
Yeah, and what they don't understand is that if they're when they've been arrested and they call a family member, a friend, their attorney, well, even though the attorney information is privileged, but when they call family members, a friend, their brother, their sister, whoever it might be, the conversation they're having at the jail is recorded.
Yeah. And
they don't know that.
No,
or they don't get it.
Yeah, people it doesn't matter if you're talking to friends, family, if you're, making a statement if you're in custody and you're talking to somebody on the phone and you make a statement. Recently, I've had situations where I've had individuals post things on social media sites like Facebook and MySpace. Yeah. For some reason, people seem to think that is like a protected universe, that they can say whatever they want on Facebook or MySpace and that no one's going to see that stuff. Right. I can tell you that not only have I seen it used against people in criminal court, fortunately, not any of my cases, but I've used it in family law cases. I've actually introduced printouts of postings where I'll have an individual come into court and say, the sky's blue, for example. Right. And then I'll produce a posting and I'll say, well, isn't this your MySpace? Yes. Isn't this your posting? Can you read the posting? Well, in the posting, I said the sky's purple. I'm like, well, wait a minute, you just said it. So keep your mouth, don't put anything. Right. And it's not a protected universe.
Right, and they don't get this. I mean, they don't understand that the social media networks are also another way of talking.
Sure, and people think that they can vent on Facebook or MySpace and no one's going to pay attention. Right. Well, I've got my privacy settings. My page isn't public. Well, that doesn't matter. All it takes is for one of your friends on MySpace or Facebook to allow an attorney or someone to gain access to your wall on, like we're talking about Facebook. Right. So it doesn't matter if you make your page private or pub. I mean, it could still be accessed by individuals.
Sure. And as an investigator, I have also have access to, some information, and it's my job to get the information. So I might go out to a friend or a family member that doesn't maybe necessarily like you as much, and all of a sudden now they provide me a printout of what you just said on Facebook or what you just said on MySpace or all these other social network media sites out there. And another thing that our clients probably, or the listening audience might not know, is that you're recorded in the police car. In some cases, you could be.
Oh, I've had some pretty funny videos in DUI cases where I've actually sat down with my client and we'll watch the video. Yeah. And, of course, they never remember what happened the night of an arrest of that type. Well, I shouldn't say never, but sometimes. Yeah. And they'll get done watching the video and they'll just shake their head and I'll basically let them watch the video and I'll say, well, what do you want me to do with this now? I mean, you just called the police officer everything but a white man, and it's on tape. So,
yeah. Well, you see,
this isn't a jury trial.
And that's the point that I'm trying to really get out there to the listening audiences. And we've done a show on this already once before, and it was really eloquently, produced, and we talked about what to do if you've been arrested. Well, I wanted to come back, and I'm glad you came back on, because it's not just what do you do when you've been arrested. Well, what's the first thing you should do? Is shut up.
Right.
Don't say nothing to anybody. If you have a lawyer, the information that's provided to your lawyer is privileged information. I mean, if you have somebody out there right now, that's been arrested, what is the most important detail that they should know?
Well, I think the first thing, if you've been arrested, is, like you said, keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
And the second thing is call an attorney.
Okay.
And talk to an attorney. And if the police try and question you, or your friend tries to question, basically, if you've been arrested, look at everybody as having ulterior motives.
Yeah.
Okay? So I don't care if it's the police asking you questions, or if it's your neighbor asking you questions, or Joe Schmo at the convenience store. Don't answer anybody's questions.
Yeah.
At all.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of these people think that because it's a family member, because it's a brother, a sister, a niece, an uncle, that because they've said something to them that is protected. I have a case right now that I'm working on that is a post-conviction relief on a murder case. Well, guess an uncle talks.
Right.
So you just don't know, who do you trust?
No, and that's it. And you don't know what people's motives are necessarily. You don't know where their loyalties lie, so on and so forth.
Right.
There was just a case in the news. In fact, I think it was today, up in Volusia County, I believe it is, where a son was arrested for murdering his brother, and the father is the one that discovered the body. And, of course, the father, they're making comments to the news media. If you had asked the son who was arrested whether or not his dad would turn him into the police, if you had asked him that like a day ago, he'd have said not in a million years. Right. Well, guess what? He's now sitting in jail, more than likely on a no-bond status on a first-degree murder charge.
Right, because of his father.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the point behind this show, and I really wanted to try to express to the people the importance of just not saying anything. I think I've pretty much tagged it pretty clear when I just said the word shut up. Yeah. But I don't know how else to say it.
No, I mean, that's, and there is no other way. And sometimes you have to be brutally blunt with people when you say, keep your mouth shut. Right. Don't say anything. And, basically your attitude should be, I didn't hear anything, I didn't see anything, I want to talk to my lawyer. And don't say anything.
Yeah. There's also the people out there that continue to think, and I'm glad that you touched on this social networking media, because they think that by posting things on this social networks that it will never be seen. Right. And I can't tell you how many times I've had to deal with postings on MySpace or postings on Facebook or Twitter or all these other, I mean, mind you, there's hundreds of them out there nowadays. But if my opinion, again, is if you think you shouldn't say it, you shouldn't. Yeah. And even photographs apply. I had a hearing on a relocation issue, which is a family law case, where the other attorney introduced photographs that were put on my client's fiance's Facebook page. Now, granted, the pictures were 15 years old and they were from a college party, and of course everybody was drinking beer in the picture, and we knew what kind of story was being told. Yeah. But people put photos on their Facebook pages without understanding what the implications necessarily could be. Yeah, and you know that's a great point again. I'm glad you brought that up. Photographs do paint sometimes a picture that you don't necessarily want the people to see. No, and it may be an inaccurate picture, but and I think you can use this in a lot of different contexts where you tell people to avoid the appearance of impropriety. Yeah. You want to avoid the insinuation or the assumption. Right. Even though there might be a logical explanation, like in this case, that picture's 15 years old and I was in college. Yeah. But that's not the